Daf Yomi, Tractate Sanhedrin, page 34a, top of the page with the words My Taima. My Taima Daf Yosi Mar Yehuda Diamar Kra'ad Echad Lo Ya'aneh B'nefesh Lamut Hu De'ena Oneh Aval Eschus Oneh Rabbanan Amarish Lakish Mishum Demechazeh Kenoga V'Eduso. The Gemara explains what is the reason of Rabbi Yossi, the son of Rabbi Yehuda, as the verse states, but one witness shall not testify against any person that he die. One can infer that he die is the matter concerning which he does not testify, but he does testify to acquit. The Gemara asks, and what is the reasoning of the rabbis? Reish Lakish says, a witness cannot offer any statements beyond his testimony because it appears as though he is biased in his testimony. If the court finds the accused liable based on the witness's testimony, the witness could later be accused of being a conspiring witness. Therefore, it is to his advantage to have the court acquit the accused. V'Rabanan Hailamut My Dorshivei Mokmilei Be'echad Bin HaTalmidim Kidetanya Amar Echad Bin HaEdim Yesh Li Lilamed Alav Zechut Minayin She'ein Shomin Lo Talmud Lomar Eid Echad Lo Ya'aneh Minayin Le'echad Bin HaTalmidim She'amar Yesh Li Lilamed Alav Zechova Minayin She'ein Shomin Lo Talmud Lomar Echad Lo Ya'aneh B'nefesh Lamut. The Gemara asks, as for the rabbis, in what manner do they interpret this term, did he die? The Gemara answers, they establish it as teaching the halacha with regard to one of the students, as it is taught in a braita. If one of the witnesses said, I have the ability to teach a reason to acquit him, from where is it derived that the court does not listen to him? The verse states, one witness shall not testify. From where is it derived that if there is one of the students who said, I have the ability to teach a reason to deem him liable, from where is it derived that the court does not listen to him? The verse states, but one witness shall not testify against any person that he die. Dine nefashos hamalamed v'chulei Amar Rav Lo Shanu Ela B'shas Masa Umatan Aval B'shas Gemar Din Melamed Chuz Chozer Melamed Chova. The Mishnah teaches in cases of capital law, one who initially teaches a reason to deem the accused liable may then teach a reason to acquit, but one who initially teaches a reason to acquit him may not return and teach a reason to deem him liable. Rav says they taught this halacha only with regard to the time of the deliberations of the court. But at the time of the verdict, one who initially teaches a reason to acquit may return and teach a reason to deem him liable. Meisvei. But asking a question, the Gemara raises an objection from the Mishnah 40a. L'macharat mashkimin uba'in hamazake omer ani amizake umizake ani b'mikomi hamechayav omer ani mechayev umechayev ani b'mikomi hamelamed chova melamed zechut. המלמד זכות אינו יכול לחזור וללמד חובה. The Gemara raises an objection from the Mishnah in 48. The following day, Meaning, the day after the initial deliberations, the judges would arise early and come to court. One who yesterday was of the opinion to acquit says, I said to acquit, and I acquit in my place, meaning I stand by my statement to acquit. And one who yesterday was of the opinion to deem him liable says, I said to deem him liable, and I deem him liable in my place. One who yesterday taught a reason to deem him liable may then teach a reason to acquit. But one who yesterday thought a reason to acquit may not then teach him a reason to deem him liable. V'ha l'macharat gemadin hu uletamech l'macharat masa umatan mileka ki ketani b'shat masa umatan. The Gemara explains an objection. But the following day is at the time of the verdict. And the Mishnah rules that a judge who has said to acquit may not change his opinion. The Gemara questions this reading of the Mishnah. And according to your reasoning, are there no deliberations on the following day? The deliberations may resume on the next day. Therefore, one can say that when the Mishnah teaches that the judge may not change his opinion, it is with regard to the time of the deliberations. Tashema danin elu keneged elu. Ad shire echad min hamechayavin divrei hamazakin. Ve'im ita lisnei nami ipecha tana azechut ka mehadar achova lo ka mehadar. The Gemara suggests, come and hear proof from the continuation of that Mishnah, which teaches that if the number of judges who deem him liable is one more than the number of judges who acquit, they continue to deliberate the matter, these judges against those judges, until one of those who deems him liable sees the validity of the statements of those who acquit and changes his position, as the court does not condemn someone to death by a majority of one judge. The Gemara states its proof. And if it is so, that one who initially teaches a reason to acquit may return and teach a reason to deem him liable, let the Mishnah also teach the opposite possibility. The Gemara explains that Tana is searching for scenarios of acquittal. He is not searching for scenarios of liability. It may be that the halakha is the same in the opposite case, but the Tana prefers to employ an example of acquittal. Tashema de Amar Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina echad min hatalmidim shezika v'met רואים עושו כאילו חי ועומד במקומו ועמי נאמר אילו אהבה קיים הווה הדר ב השתא מיהה לא הדר ב. The Gemara suggests, come in here, a proof from a Braita. As Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina says, in a case where there was one of the students who argued to acquit and then died, the court views him as if he were alive and standing in his place and voting to acquit. The Gemara asks, but why? According to the opinion of Rav, that a judge may change his opinion at the time of the verdict, let us say, perhaps, if that student were alive, he would retract his opinion and find the accused liable. The Gemara explains, now, in any event, he did not retract from his opinion. The assumption is that he would not have changed his opinion, although one can do so. The Gemara questions this explanation, but the sages sent a statement from their Eretz Yisrael according to this version of the statement of Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, he engages in a dispute with our teacher, meaning Rav. Apparently, the previous explanation, which reconciles their opinions, is incorrect. The Gemara answers, that tradition was not accurate, and it was stated that he does not engage in a dispute with Rav. Toshima, Shnei Soifri, Hadayonin, עומדים לפניהן, אחד מן הימין, אחד מן השמאל. וחויסבין דברי המזכים ודברי המחייבים. The Gemara suggests, come and hear a proof from a Braita. After the initial deliberations, two judges, scribes, stand before the court. One on the right and one on the left. And they write the statements of those who acquit the accused and the statements of those who find him liable. Bishloma divrei hamechayovin nimchal chazutai ma'achrina uba'u lemeved halanat din ela divrei hamazakin ma'itaime lav mishum di chazutai ma'achrina lechoiva lo mashgachinan bahu. The Gemara explains the proof. Granted, they write statements of those who find the accused liable, even though they may not change their opinions. As on the following day, they may see another reason to find the accused liable, not the reason they gave the day before. And once this new reason is given, the court is required to perform a suspension of the trial until the following day, as they may not issue a verdict in cases of capital law on the same day as the deliberations. But what is the reason the scribes write the statements of those who acquit the accused? Is it not because the halakha is that if the judges would see another reason to find the accused liable, we do not pay heed to them? And in order to ensure that the judges do not change their opinions, the scribes write their statements. We're holding on time here. Oh, nice. Lo, כדי שלא יאמרו שניים טעם אחד משני מקרויס, כדבר מיני רבי יוסי, מרבי יוחנן, אמרו שניים טעם אחד משני מקראות. מהו? אמר לי, אין מונין להם אלא אחד. The Gemara answers, no. The reason they write their statements is so that the two of the judges should not say the one explanation to acquit from two different verses. If two judges each say the same reason to acquit but derive their reason from different verses, they are not counted as two votes. As Rabbi Asi asked of Rabbi Yohanan, if two of the judges say one explanation to acquit from two different verses, what is the halacha? Rabbi Yochanan said to him, we count them only as one, as it is clear that one of the derivations is in error. Mina hani mili amar Abai amar kra achad diber Elohim shtayim zu shamati ki oz leElohim. Psalm 62:12. Mikra echad yotze lekama tamim, ve'en tam echad yotze mikama mikraot. Divrei Rabbi Yishmael Tana וכפטיש יפוצץ סלע. מה פטיש? זה המתחלק לכמה ניצוצות, אף מקרא אחד יוצא לכמה טעמים. The Gemara discusses the ruling of Rabbi Yochanan. From where is this matter derived? Abaye says, the verse states, God has spoken once, twice I have heard this, that strength belongs to God. Psalms 62 verse 12. Abaye explains, one verse is stated by God, and from it emerge several explanations, but one explanation does not emerge from several verses. Alternatively, the school of Rabbi Yishmael taught that the verse states, is not my word like as fire, says the Lord, and like a hammer that breaks the rock into pieces. Jeremiah 23:29. Just as this hammer breaks a stone into several fragments, so too one verse stated by God, and can from it emerge several explanations. Hechida mitam echad mishnei mikraot. Amar Azvi kiditnan. Mizbeach mikadesh et haroi lo. The Gemara clarifies what is considered one explanation from two different verses. Rav Zvid says, as we learned in a Mishnah in Zvachim 83a, with regard to certain items that are disqualified from being sacrificed ab initio, once they have been placed on the altar, they are nevertheless sacrificed. But the altar sanctifies only items that are suited for it, as the Gemara will explain. The Tanaim disagree as to what is considered suited for the altar. Rabbi Yehoshua Omer, Kol haroi leishim im ala lo yared, shene'emar ha'oleh al mokdah. Ma ola shehi raoya leishim im alta lo tered, af kol shehu raoy leishim im ala lo yared. Rabbi Yehoshua says, any item that is suited to be consumed by fire on the altar, for example, burnt offerings, and the portions of other offerings burned on the altar, if it ascended upon the altar, even if it is disqualified from being sacrificed ab initio, it shall not descend, since it was sanctified by its ascent upon the altar. It is sacrificed upon it, as it is stated, it is a burnt offering on the pyre upon the altar. Leviticus 6:2, from which it is derived, just as with regard to a burnt offering, that it is suited to be consumed by the fire on the altar. If it ascended, it shall not descend. So too with regard to any item that is suited to be consumed by the fire on the altar, if it ascended, it shall not descend. Rabban Gamliel Omer, Kol ro'eh lemizbeach im ola lo yired, shema im ola lo mo'ikdan lemizbeach. Ma ola shehi ro'eh legav lemizbeach, im alta lo tered, af kol shehu ra'ui lemizbeach im ala lo yired. Rabban Gamliel says, with regard to any item that is suited to ascend upon the altar, even if it's not typically consumed, it is, if it is ascended, it shall not descend. Even if it is disqualified from being sacrificed ab initio, as it is stated, it is the burnt offering on the pyre upon the altar, from which is derived just as a burnt offering that is fit for the altar. If it ascended, it shall not descend. So to any item that is fit for the altar, if it ascended, it shall not descend. V'tervayu mai kamarabo pesulin mar ma'isile mimokdah umar ma'isile mimizbeach. Razvid explains, what do the two of them include? What do the two of them include by means of these explanations? Disqualified offerings, teaching that if they ascend, they do not descend. One sage, Rabbi Yehoshua, brings proof for this halakha from the term on the pyre, and one sage, Rabban Gamliel, brings proof to this halakha from the term upon the altar. This is an example of one explanation from two different verses. V'ha'azim miflag and pligi, dikatani sefa, ein ben divrei Rabban Gamliel divrei Yehoshua, ela hadas v'hanisachim, adam v'hanisachim. Rabban Gamliel omer, lo yardu, v'Rabbi Yehoshua omer, yardu. The Gemara questions this example, but there, Rabbi Yehoshua and Rabban Gamliel disagree, and their explanations cannot therefore be identical, as the latter clause that Mishnah teaches the difference between the statement of Rabban Gamliel and the statement of Rabbi Yehoshua is only with regard to disqualified blood and libations, which are not consumed by the fire, but do ascend unto the altar. As Rabban Gamliel says, they shall not descend, as they are fit to ascend on the altar. And Rabbi Yehoshua says, they shall descend as they are not burned on the altar. Ela Amar Rav Papa Ki Ditanya Rabbi Yossi Agli Omer Mitoch Shene'emar. Rather, Rav Papa says, an example of one explanation from two different verses is, as it is taught in a Braita, Rabbi Yossi Aglili says, from the fact that it is stated